Jax, why don't you hit us with that sweet new intro that you came up with?
Oh god. Now you've put me on the spot. I don't know what to do.
That's part of the pod, putting you on the spot.
Okay.
This is in the episode.
Welcome back to the Video Game Vibes podcast, guys. It's Christmas, and the Christmas episode of Video Game Vibes. Oh, I love your tree, actually.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, check that out.
Looks good.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, I have a tree. So, I've interrupted it. Go ahead, keep going.
No, you're all right. As you guys know, the Video Game Vibes podcast, where we talk about all things video games, pop culture, anime, anything that interests us, really, whether we're talking about mowing the lawn or our indifferent views to Bendy and the Ink Machine. But
it's mostly video games, though, just to clarify. But we will talk about whatever we want at certain times, especially in the intro, which is right now. I don't think we introduced ourselves. Yes, I am Grog from Grog Games. This is my compadre, PatriotJax.
Patriot Elf.
Patriot Elf today.
I'm Christmasing up, guys.
All the way from the North Pole. There he is.
I don't know if that's backwards in the video, but I got a Christmas jumper on. Yeah, you got to do the Christmas jumper.
What's it say? Show the people what it says really quick.
It's just Jingle Bells. I actually have a really good Sonic one that's got like Sonic Knuckles and it's like my favourite one.
Really?
And I got it last year. Yeah, so I should get that one out next year maybe. I'll get it out for next year.
I didn't have time to find my sweater, but every year for my family we do ugly Christmas sweaters, but I don't really have like a really ugly one. I just got one from Target that's like it's this black and it's like the night sky and then it's Santa riding a unicorn, which I think is pretty cool.
I like that. Yeah, that seems like one of those, you know, those hoodies that you can always get on Amazon that are like the graphics are so random, like cats in space and stuff. There's some random hoodies and they're like terrible material.
yeah, it's pretty much like that, except not as terrible. It's like, what is it, Neon Star? What's the cat that's the rainbow toast? The rainbow cat that's going through the sky? Cat. Nyan Cat? Yeah, Nyan Cat. That's so long ago. Oh my gosh.
I was going to say, that's
a throwback.
Back a few years.
Jeez.
That's a dead meme.
We dated ourselves there.
A little bit. How are you, dude? How is everything going?
It's good. It's good. I'm just prepping for Christmas. Not too much. We went Christmas shopping the other week, and that was okay. This year, just buying some stuff, and I don't know. Not too much on my end. A lot of Christmas things. Just prepping stuff together. I did see in video game news, though, that we have both been playing Bendy in the Dark Revival as as retribution to the episode that we did a few weeks ago. Was it a few weeks? Oh my gosh, it's a few weeks ago. I wanted to play
it anyway. It's not.
You would have played it
as a result of it, dude. Come on.
Sorry, I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I don't want to talk too much on Bendy, but I will just say that I'm very much enjoying it now. I've just reached chapter 5, and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah,
you're slightly ahead of me, I think. I'm about to get to chapter 5. So, but you're enjoying it more than the first one.
Loads more than the first one.
Yeah,
tons more enjoyable.
It's
still not my favorite game, but it's much better.
I agree with you. However, I definitely don't like it as much. I don't know. It's still not one of my favorite games either.
Wait, you prefer the first game?
No. Not what I meant at all. All I meant is, like, I have critiques, but I don't want to finalize them yet because I haven't beaten the game. But one thing I will say is, for anyone that is listening and has not played it yet, it's a lot scarier than the first game. So just FYI, especially as someone who does not play horror games.
It's just guys. It's just that stupid ghost that shows up at random times. And don't get me wrong, I'm normally, I'm not a huge fan of jump scares. Sometimes they're really cheap. They're cheap ways of delivering horror. But I think the times when they put the ghost in, and there are large sections of the game afterwards where it isn't there, they then bring it back in, and it gets me almost every time. It's really good, actually.
Oh, okay, so you're a positive for the ghost. Okay, that's great.
Like,
that's
it annoys
good.
me, but it's... I need to watch back on your stream, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm having a rough time. To be honest, the last 2 streams that I did, I ended before my normal allotted time, and I'm like, I'm going to play Fall Guys for an hour, because that sounds good after what I just went through on stream. But then again, that's me, not being into horror games, so it's been a rough battle. But anyway, Jax, what have you been up to?
I to be honest, I kind of just want to talk about this new AI that's been blowing up on the internet.
Yes.
ChatGPT. I've been asking it so many things. I'm trying to work out what I can use it for content. But basically, guys, if you don't know, there's this new AI that's been developed that, to a lot of people, it seems like it's going to revolutionise a lot of things. It's going to potentially put a lot of people out of work. They think that it will replace, or it will be a larger competitor to like a Google search engine, because it gives you the answer rather than having you sift through websites to find what you need to find.
And people are lazy, so...
Yeah. I thought, just for this, I would ask it a couple of things that are relevant to us, because I thought it'd be a bit of fun just to read a couple of things.
I'm into it.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I basically just made it write some reviews for some games. So, just to see how good it can be at writing its own review.
Okay.
And obviously what it takes. If you're wondering why I keep doing this, I've got some scarf hair in my mouth, so I do apologise. If you are watching on YouTube, I can't get it out. We'll move on. Anyway, so I asked it to write a negative review for Bendy in the Ink Machine.
Oh no! We've already kicked him while he's down. Are we really doing this?
So, okay, I'll just read it real quick. So it says, I recently played Bendy in the Ink Machine, and I was thoroughly disappointed. The graphics are outdated and unappealing, the gameplay is repetitive and boring, and the story is unoriginal and lacks any real substance. The puzzles are overly simple and add nothing to the overall experience. Additionally, the game is plagued by bugs and technical issues that made it nearly unplayable at times. Overall, I would not recommend this game. Save your time and money and avoid this game. So for me... That was hilarious, though.
That for me, is something.
That's not, like... I don't see that as being relevant to Bendy in the Ink Machine.
No. Like, that seemed very generic.
I think calling the story unoriginal's not really...
No, I would say it's original-ish. Yeah.
The graphics are outdated and unappealing. Like, that doesn't really make sense, because the art style's kind of its USP. You know, if it talks about the game mechanics, then I'd actually think that this has actually taken stuff... I don't know. I would imagine this took stuff from the reviews of Bendy Online. There's just one more that I wanted to do. Okay. And this was for your benefit.
You did not do Hollow Knight, did you?
Write a negative review for Hollow Knight.
That's not possible. Why? It won't do it. It'll be like, sorry, can't compute 0011.
I did say negative, to be fair, because I wanted to see if... afterwards if it could write like a normal review, so I did write a review for God of War Ragnarok as well, but I'll just read out the Hollow Knight one, because
okay, sure, make it
this
quick.
This one sounds a bit more, you know, it makes a bit more, well,
does it?
I recently played Hollow Knight and I was disappointed by many aspects of the game.
The
graphics, while charming in their own way, are outdated and lack detail. If you guys can't see, Grog just took his headphones off. I thought he was going to walk out the door, to be fair.
I was tempted, yeah.
Let me get through it, because I'm enjoying this. The gameplay is slow and clunky, and the controls are unresponsive at times.
Unresponsive! That is such a... I'm editing this, right? That's a lie. That's disgusting. No.
The difficulty is inconsistent and often feels unfair, with enemies that are cheap and overwhelming. Cheap and overwhelming. Okay. The story is confusing and never fully explained, leaving the player feeling lost and frustrated. This is good, because I don't believe this at all. Additionally, the game is plagued by technical issues that can ruin the experience.
False.
Overall, I would not recommend Hollow Knight to anyone. There are much better games out there that offer a more polished and enjoyable experience.
Obviously, the bug portion was due to them being bugs in the game. That's all that was. That's all I gotta say. Otherwise, it sounds like this AI is definitely not taking anyone's job in the future.
It is in beta, but I reckon, like, I don't think, especially for the more indie games which I've asked it to search for, it's a bit more vague in what it says, and I don't think it's reflective of it. But when I said write a review for God of War Ragnarok, it talks about how the story is emotional and gripping, the relationship between Kratos and his son Atreus. So that's a lot more specific to what the game actually is. So I thought it'd be funny to do that, but there's so much this thing potentially can do. Like, it can write scripts, like JavaScript. It can like write coding and stuff, and that's why a lot of programmers are worried they're going to be out of a job, because this thing can write stuff. Some guy made an app in like 10 minutes on his desktop through doing it. Like,
yeah,
I think go down the rabbit hole, guys. There's so much potential with this thing. It's crazy.
I might mess around with it this weekend. I saw a TikTok today that it was a teacher, and she was basically saying, like, hey, we need to do essays only in class now because of this AI. It can literally write like 90% better than the majority of her students. So, I don't know. Maybe learning's going to be different in the next 20 years. I mean, technology keeps doubling every 2 years, people say, so... It was only a matter of time until we hit the AI status that could complete everything in our lives.
You can't put technology back in the box, so they've got to learn to adapt teaching and stuff like that to it. But teaching is one thing that's going to have to change how they do it. Absolutely,
that's fine.
But I just thought it was like fascinating, because it's a big thing that's happened, and I think you're going to see a lot of companies, AI, like companies, like a tech bubble sort of thing, almost like pop out of this. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. Yeah,
that is very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
But you know what's more interesting, my dude?
Our podcast?
Well, yeah, that. And the Game Awards, which are actually, as of recording this podcast,
talk about. Yeah,
they are happening right now.
Right now.
Literally, as we're recording our podcast, they're live streaming their thing.
And what's happened, Jax?
I clicked off of it because it goes on quite late, like from where I am. It started like half an hour ago, I think. So yeah.
But yeah, maybe we'll talk about that next episode. Obviously, yeah, we'll see if Cult of the Lamb won. Woo!
Good for Cult of the Lamb if they did. Like, you guys can tell us in the comments. We'll probably know by then.
Well, I mean, we'll definitely know by then. We'll know by the end of the day. But as of right now, yeah, that's why we're not talking about it. Jax, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about our games of the year. We're talking about our ones.
It is our game of the year for 2022. As of right now, it is almost the end of the year, and so we thought we'd reflect back on our favorite game this year. However, before we get to our favorite games, we do have a couple of secondaries, consolation games. What's the appropriate term for it?
Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. That's the one. What did I say? Consolation games? Wow, awful. I'm gonna cut that out. What I meant to say was honorable mentions for games. And Jax, I don't know how many you have. I wrote down 2 that I would like to mention briefly. I think I'll mention mine, and then we'll just ramble, and then I can go back to you, and then you can come back to me, and then we'll go from there. How's that sound?
I've got a handful of games.
Oh God, never mind. You go first.
No. Well, see, I have a game of the year, but it didn't come out in 2022. Does that not count?
Well, okay. So yes, first off, our lovely podcast.
Because I can have one or the other. I mean, I can have one that for one that came out in 2022 and one that didn't come out in 2022. But for me, I discovered it this year. I played it this year.
Yeah. So. Okay. I'll give you that. Because I sort of have one like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get to it when we get there. But first off, honorable mentions. I'm just going to get this out of the way because I think everyone already knows what I'm about to say. But I had to go through the roller coaster ride that is Fall Guys this year. And I don't want to talk about it a lot, but basically we went through 3 seasons technically this year. We had season 6, which was until the end of June, and then Fall Guys went free to play in season 7, which was in the middle of the year. And then, it's been onward since then. We've had, oh my gosh, we technically had... Okay, never mind. It's just 3 seasons. I wrote down 4, and I was like, oh no, that's because the one after that is starting in November to April. I'm like, oh god.
Why didn't I even think that it came out this year? I mean, obviously it's been out previously, but it went free to play properly. So yeah.
Properly went free to play.
I never even considered Fall Guys, to be fair. I mean, that's your game.
It's not the best. The only reason why I am actually mentioning it is because I play it so much on my channel. It's super easy to, play with people. You can get a lobby and a lobby code, and then people can just jump in. And that's probably one of the main positives why I'm still playing it. It's easy to do. But as a Fall Guys fan, I've been, having my ups and downs. They've done the... Oh, have we talked about this? I thought we had talked about this, Jax, how they vault levels right now. So not all the levels they created you can play in the game.
What?
Did we not talk about that?
I think you mentioned that it gets to a point in the day where you end up playing the same map, the same levels over and over.
No, so even worse. So they have I think 178 levels right now, technically. Counting variations of levels, right?
Yeah.
But basically they're saying they don't have enough memory for you to play all of them. So therefore they vault certain levels, so you just can't play them right now, and then they'll just continually, sort of like the Disney vault, how they unvault movies and you can buy them again. It's like that, but levels constantly. So you can't play the full entire game at one time, which is just super, super stupid.
I mean, I guess to hear that, it's not great. They weren't originally owned by Epic Games, were they?
They were not. No, they were an indie game.
Yeah, they were an indie game. Well, they are, but now they're owned by Epic Games. Surely they've got the funding where they can, I don't know, sort that issue out?
You'd think so, but then again, maybe they're on a platform where they don't find the monetary value of doing that, like how Fortnite doesn't have the same stuff with their maps. Every season they change it up. But, you can't just, you can't be like, oh, I want to play Season 1 Fortnite map. You can't do that. Or, they don't have a playlist in Fortnite where, it's just random maps or something like that. It's we'll group up, and then it's okay, never mind. We're doing Season 2 this time, and maybe you'll play another game and be Season 6. No, they don't do that. They're like, hey, this is the map. Get used to it. They also vault weapons in Fortnite, of course, too. Sometimes there'll be, the...
Oh, that's the right.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's, 1,000 bows just around.
yeah, exactly.
It's just weird,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's just them trying to save money on their IT platform system memory or however any of that stuff works for a multiplayer game online. But I don't know.
You can't even pick any of those other levels in a custom private game.
No, they
sucks.
vault those too.
That
constantly, because I host customs a lot. They take out playlists. So I just recently discovered they took out 2 of the more popular playlists that we used to play all the time before this new season dropped.
Game of the year, everyone. Game of the year.
I just wanted to mention it because I'm angry, but I still love the game a lot. It's good. It's a good game. It's really easy to get into. It's basically my only competitive game I play because everything else is hard. But yeah, just thought I'd mention it. Jax, you go ahead with your next honorable mention, and by that I mean your first.
I'll go with Stray. I'll start with Stray. Because I feel like it's worth talking about.
The cat game?
I don't agree that Stray should be anywhere near the Game of the Year the Video Game Awards. That blows my mind.
I forgot.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand it. As a game, it's really good fun. I really had a lot of fun with it. It was something different. I have a ginger cat, so I immediately love it.
Right. As you should.
But, the game mechanics are so-so. They're decent, but you can't free roam, you can't free jump. It's all almost like...
parallel pathing?
Almost like quick action to an extent.
Oh, really?
Almost like... kind of. Oh, speaking of ginger cats, hello, honey.
Oh, show her to the camera.
No chance.
One day it'll be a good TikTok.
But yeah, no, the story was really sweet, and it had those. There she was. There she goes. It had those cinematic moments, like where the cat falls down, and there's some great scenes, and it really tugs at your heartstring. And I just thought it was a really good game, something different, and it's definitely worth a mention for me this year. Yeah, it's definitely worth a play, but it's not something you're going to play more than once, unless you mod it, and then you got CJ from San Andreas as the cat and stuff.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
no way, seriously?
There were some stupid mods that came out of it.
You can mod it like Spider-Man, where you can just change the cat to anything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Amazing.
It's hilarious.
What's another one, quick? You said you had 4, so you got to give me 2 at a time.
FNAF Security Breach.
Oh, important.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Purely because, and this is just coming from someone who loved watching FNAF videos but never really playing the game. Like, I tried playing the games, the older games. I was just not very good at them, and I didn't really enjoy them. I talked about like the cheap jump scare aspects previously. But Security Breach was free roam, and despite the optimization issues and the glitches and stuff, I had a lot of fun with that game. The bosses were really good, the sneaking around in the pizza complex was great, the style, like the 80s style of everything was really good. Even some of the puzzles, aside from that stupid maze puzzle.
Which maze puzzle? Annoying. Which area was that?
Right before you go fight
the crocodile
guy. Yeah. There's that room with all the walls, and you have to rearrange it so you can get through into a vent. I spent like half a stream on that bit. Like that wasn't fun. But the game was good. I enjoyed the game a lot. And I just wanted to mention it for me as not as my game of the year at all, but as, I don't know, I guess a FNAF game that I could enjoy as someone who doesn't like the standard FNAF game.
It's a new version of FNAF, rather, for some people that may not vibe with previous versions of FNAF, right?
Nice.
Yeah. I stuck it in there, right? Stuck it in there.
It was the first. I think it was the first game done by the new developers.
Steel Wolf.
Yeah. So, and I think they've done a good job personally.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that maybe the future FNAF looks bright, but we'll see if they relapse to old characters. I'd like to see some new characters, frankly. I mean, I know Gregory was a new character, but
yeah. I do think the lore was good as well. Like I don't think they sort of dropped off on the theory side of things.
We don't know the full lore picture yet because the DLC is not out, so we'll have to jury's out on that one. But
yeah.
All right, on to my next honorable mention, which I don't have the expertise for a ton of details into it, but I would like to throw out Elden Ring into the mix for honorable mentions for myself. Mostly because I'm not a huge Dark Souls person. I have Dark Souls 1 and 2 before Elden Ring, and I have never beaten both of them. To be completely blunt, I haven't beaten Elden Ring either, but I did put in 70 plus hours into it. For me, that's huge for Dark Souls. And frankly, I just thought it was way easier to get into. Just the exploration of the map itself, it's so open, and it just seems like you can do so much that it didn't really throw me off at all. And I felt like I could backtrack whenever I wanted to in order if I was struggling with a certain area. And in other Dark Souls games, I know you can technically do that, but not to the extent that you can in Elden Ring. And I just had a lot of fun with it. Jax, you still haven't played that, right? Elden Ring?
I've been waiting for it to drop in price. Like I've wanted to buy it just because of how much people have talked about it, and I am going to wait for it to obviously drop in price, and then I'm going to pick it up. Like I've just started playing the original Dark Souls just to get my head around From Software games, because I've not played any before. And I feel like if I go straight into Elden Ring, I feel like it's not going to Like, I don't want to get Elden Ring and then get annoyed because I've not played that type of game before. Like, and get annoyed at the fighting. Like, do you know what I mean?
The fighting style, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can see your point, but also I would say the opposite, because you can do a lot of stuff in Elden Ring. You can change different weapon tactics and in a variety of ways, and like I said, it's way more lenient than other Dark Souls games, except maybe Dark Souls 1 I hear is maybe a bit easier, but I don't know, jury's out on that one. I don't think that's entirely true from my perspective of playing both. The only reason why it's an honorable is because I haven't beaten it. And the only reason why I haven't beaten it, and I just got thrown off from it, is because you have to be at a certain mindset for it. Because, like I said, you can backtrack, level up, and go to easier areas and stuff like that. But I'm at the point where I've done a lot of that, and so I'm getting in a more serious area. And I still think I'm a little overpowered for where I'm at, but it takes a sort of mindset in order to proceed through that game. Like, if I'm just trying to chill, I'm not going to play Elden Ring, to be honest. And for some people, that might be their thing, but for me, it's not. So, like, I have to be in a certain mindset in order to, like, delve into the world of Elden Ring and try and go through all those bosses and everything. So, yeah, that's the only reason. I'm going to pick it up again and I'm going to beat it. I've told people it's the first first Dark Souls game that I will beat. So, it's going to happen.
I think that's part of the reason. I think you're right. I think it's part of the reason I pick up my Switch in like the evenings, like just after my boy's gone down to sleep, and I'm like, oh, I'll jump on Dark Souls and I'll try and play like 10-15 minutes of it, and it's just not the way
you do. 10-minute game sessions,
but it doesn't work because I get like frustrated, and I got to a bit where I'm like, I don't know where to go, and I feel like I'm stuck. Yeah, and I just throw the Switch. Like, I'm playing it in handheld mode as well. I'm just like, I'll throw it.
Oh, well, you can't do that, my friend.
I like play Sonic Frontiers, and it's much more fun. So yeah, I need to I think what I need to do is live stream it and get some help from the people in the chat and stuff, and like focus on it, because yeah, you need to pay attention in those games.
Agreed.
And I think for me to not lose my mind, because I've not played one of these games before, I need to really sit down and focus with it, yeah.
I'll help you out. Not that I'm an expert, but I'll be there for you.
You've played some stuff, so yeah. You know. But yeah, Elden Ring looks stunning, so I do hope it wins Game of the Year tonight.
If it doesn't,
I don't think
I'm
it will,
be mad.
but I hope it does.
You still don't think it will? You think it's going to lose to God of War?
I do. Yeah, I do. So another honourable mention from me. I've got two more, and then talk about the games of the year for me. I'll talk about it. Splatoon 3. Now, I'm talking about it and I don't sound excited, but it's because it's consistent, right? So I played, I could look it up, but I can't remember. I've played so many hours of Splatoon 2, and obviously I was so excited to see Splatoon 3 drop, and it is very much, it picks up exactly where Splatoon 2 drops off. And I was hoping that the story in the campaign would have picked up as well, because that's Splatoon's sort of weak point. Obviously, the main point of the game is the multiplayer and turf war, and salmon run and those modes and stuff, and they're all really fun, and that's what I play the most of, obviously. But I sometimes like to dip into the story and that, but it's definitely more of like a skill based exercise. It's sort of like, do things in this mode or hit these targets to progress. It doesn't feel like a story. It just feels like you go into each of these little areas and do a different type of skill with the game mechanics that you have for it.
Yeah.
And
this is a dumb example, but sort of like Super Smash Bros. With their events and stuff. Sort of like that, where it's like, do this and kill this character now, but
kind of like that, but it is done with a story sort of wrapped around it. The only thing is that in the build up to the game releasing, they said that a lot of the time had been focused on the story, and I've played it for about 3 hours, no, maybe more, of the story, and it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like more of the same. You just go into one thing and do a different skill, and it's disappointing from that aspect, because there's so much lore and stuff in Splatoon that you could create and and do differently and stuff like that. And that's sort of why I'm just a bit disappointed in it, considering how much fun this game gives me in Turf War and in Salmon. Like, I never used to play Salmon Run in Splatoon 2. I started playing it in Splatoon 3, and it's so much fun. You just, with 3 other people, just go around collecting eggs and splatting these little salmonoid guys, and then there's this giant freaking boss at the end called like a Kazoa or something. You have to throw the eggs at. It's really good. It gets really intense.
Oh, so it's like a co-op boss fight.
Oh yeah. Those ones are you're all working together.
Oh.
And it's a nice change up from Turf War when you're always fighting. You're doing 4v4 against another team. But yeah, and they created a new game mode with it's like tabletop cards sort of thing. Like, I've not tried it out because it looks so boring for me personally. But I have to mention it because Splatoon just as a game is so much fun, and I can't recommend it. If anyone has a Switch, they should absolutely have Splatoon.
I don't have Splatoon.
No questions. You should.
And I have a Switch.
Why don't you have Splatoon?
I'm a frustrating person, and frankly, I hate PvP. And the only PvP I like is non-complicated, which is Fall Guys. That's it. I'm bad at PvP. I get mad so easily.
I'm like you, right? I'm like you. Like Call of Duty, you could never do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Splatoon 3 is like the light version of it. Like, you can have fun in Turf War. You need to get it, dude. We need to squad up. We need to squid up.
Squid up? Oh my gosh. I'll consider, Jax. We'll see. Alright, what's your last honorable mention?
It's Faith, the Unholy Trinity.
Oh, right. Yes. I forgot.
The Commodore 64 style indie horror game with the Chapter 3 that dropped this year. And it is just such a surreal kind of experience. Like, it's not like any other indie horror game that I've played. Its story, it just keeps going with its intensity and stuff. This is very much considering the game mechanics are so basic, but the way how creative the developer is with the bosses and stuff. So the only thing you can do is walk. You can't run. All you can do is walk and hold up your cross.
Oh, that's
it? That is all you can do. Yeah, the cross is you fight off occults, you fight off demons and stuff.
Can you interact with objects or the level or anything? Is there
you learn about the lore through characters and through notes, and it's mainly surrounding boss fights. So chapter 1, you go into the woods and there's this white demon chasing you. You have to scare it off. You get into a house, there's some notes everywhere, and you start to piece together just what's going on. You have the creepy, I can't remember what it's. I just got to look up what it's called.
Ghoul Slayer, Demon Boy. No, okay.
The software automatic mouth,
That's
which
not
is
what I thought you'd say.
It's a text to speech program, but it adds such a layer of detail and creepiness to this Commodore 64 style, Atari aesthetic. And so the characters' voices are all robotic and stuff, and the demon voices are so creepy. It's such an experience, and there's so much lore and stuff to sort of dive into. That's a lot of my channel at the minute is Faith. I've been doing theory videos about it for a few years and talking about it. So I'm heavily invested in it anyway. But it's really clever, and there's a lot of hidden Easter eggs to inspiration from pop culture, horror films, classic horror films and stuff like that. It's quite an experience. So I would suggest, if you like indie horror and you've not played Faith the Unholy Trinity, go and get it. You will not regret it.
That's a good take. We need to pump out that indie more, Jax.
You could probably manage that.
Really? No jump scares?
It's not jump scary.
Ooh,
no.
Okay. I'll have to wishlist it.
But it's really unsettling.
I can deal
which
with
is
that.
I like atmospheric horror personally.
Yeah. No, me too. Absolutely. As long as there's not things in my face, I can deal with horror. So, all right, Jax. I think it's time for Game of the Year. I guess I'm going first because you just talked. So I guess it's my turn.
You first.
Ooh. Do you want to guess before I go?
Cult of the Lamb.
That's your guess?
Yeah.
No. I love Cult of the Lamb, but I couldn't do it as Game of the Year because I feel like, while it deserves Indie Game of the Year, I don't know if it deserves Game of the Year for me. Just frankly, out of the amount of hours I've spent and time invested, and the enjoyment that I got from it, my Game of the Year is Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I also forgot that came out this year. That they released 2 Pokemon, like decent Pokemon games this year.
Jax, once again, I think we mentioned this at one point in time on the pod, but you have not played this game, right?
No, it's another one that I want to play. I also want to play Scarlet and Violet because everyone says it's really good despite the glitches and stuff.
Yes. Well, let me entice you, Jax, in regards to Pokemon Legends Arceus. So first off, can I frankly state that going back to our love of anime, this is technically an isekai. Because the main character is not from, the olden times that is the land that takes place in Legends of Arceus. It's a character from present-day Pokemon thrown back in time. So the whole game is an isekai.
Wow. Does he meet... does he have some female companions?
Yes.
And then creates an army and...
No, he doesn't have a harem yet. No.
Yeah.
No, but he does meet a girl, yes, who is the previous ancestor of, I believe, Dawn in the game. That's another cool thing, is there's a bunch of characters that were like the ancestors of characters in later games.
Yeah, that's clever.
So yeah, There's a lot of culture references like that. But also, this game was nominated as a Game Award for RPG of the Year, which I don't agree with, but I do want to say that it is definitely an RPG. Out of, maybe you could debate Pokemon isn't technically an RPG for some games, but for this one I would say it definitely is a role-playing game.
Personally, I would say all of the mainline ones are RPGs as well. You're playing the role of a Pokemon trainer. I know that's quite a basic way of generalizing it, but like I would still consider the Pokemon games to be an RPG.
I would as well, for the most part. Yeah, I just know someone out there's like, there's no dungeon crawling. It's like, well, I don't know about that. There's no equipment. Oh, I don't know about that. Pokemon's pretty much equipment. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out there because it was so good it got nominated for something. Another key detail of this game, before I go into my list of mechanics, which we're just going to brief through. I'm not going to like full on go super detailed for everything. But another key point of this game is when you get into this world, you are a Pokemon trainer from the future, right? You love Pokemon. Pokemon's your jazz. You're vibing with Pokemon every single day. You go back in time, love Pokemon. You go back in time, everyone's afraid of Pokemon. In this game,
that's cool.
There's like 5 trainers. No one knows Pokemon, and everyone's afraid of them. So it's like quite the contrast that you're used to in Pokemon.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a really clever way of mixing up the formula.
Yeah. So you get there and you're like, I love Pokemon. And they're like, what? You're not afraid of Pokemon? They're so dangerous. And you're like, no, you're the cutest things ever. And you get basically recruited into this organization which makes you sort of like, it's basically an organization used to scout out and document Pokemon and areas around the region. And you go off into this tangent, and I won't go into the full storyline, but I will say it's pretty good. Some people hated the storyline. I thought it was pretty decent for a Pokemon game. I mean, Pokemon is not known for their super good stories, right? But I do want to say that for a Pokemon game, I thought it was a good story, frankly. I thought it was way better than other stories. But anyway, I just want to go over a few key points why I thought this is a good game, and not only a good game, but a stepping stone for the future of Pokemon in general. First off, this is an expanded world in regards to our first look at what a real overworld Pokemon game could be. I believe the first game to do it was Pokemon Let's Go on the Switch, the remake of Pokemon Gen 1, where you went around in Gen 1 and there was Pokemon in the overworld and you threw Pokeballs at them like Pokemon Let's Go.
Oh, that game was so disappointing.
You got that? Yeah, okay, I thought you had gotten that game. I skipped that one, so...
You did not miss anything, man. I was so gutted. I thought they'd remade it properly, but no, you could only throw Pokeballs at Pokemon. You can't battle wild Pokemon.
No, of course not.
Who decided that?
Awful. However, I will point out, this game you can catch Pokemon without battling them, but it is not the lameness that is Pokemon Let's Go. In this game, it's super cool. It's sort of like, I want to say Safari-esque, because it is, but you don't have battle Pokemon. You can use a quick capture feature, and there's two types of balls, technically. There's the regular Pokeballs, so you can get like Great Ball, Ultra Ball, stuff like that. And then there's two different categories of like quick balls. They're called Feather Balls and then Heavy Balls. And the Feather Balls are weaker than Pokeballs, and the Heavy Balls are greater than Pokeballs. But the heavy ones you got to use close up, and the Feather ones are more effective further away, so they're really light. So you can just go out there and start sniping stuff. So you can go into an area of Pokemon and be like, pew, 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 pew. And it's cool because the game encourages you to catch as many Pokemon as possible. And the mechanics are fun enough that you want to do that. I mean, in other Pokemon games, I've maybe not had the need to, quote-unquote, catch them all. In this game, you sort of want to, and not just in regards to completing the Pokedex, but in regards to actually doing better in the game. Because what happens is when you catch Pokemon and you release them, you get certain items that you can use to power up your Pokemon. Jax, you're familiar with like EVs and IVs, right, for Pokemon?
To an extent, yeah.
Effort values. We won't go into it. Sorry, Pod. I'm a Pokemon master. I won't go into all the rich detail, but you can essentially power up your Pokemon. There are mechanics that you can use when releasing multiple Pokemon. So, like, you don't have to catch Pokemon just to use them or whatnot. You just want to catch everything, and it's fantastic. And apart from that, there's like little items you can use to make catching more fun. For example, there's a stealth mechanic in the game, so you can stealth in grass to increase your catch rate for Pokemon that haven't seen you yet. In areas where it's like a wide open plain, you can throw down a smoke ball and hide in a smoke ball, so then you can't be seen. And then there's also items that let you sort of damage Pokemon or catch them unawares, like you can throw mud balls at them and stuff like that. And even the most powerful Pokemon in this game, you can technically catch without battling, and it feels very good. Jax, I'm sure you're aware of the alpha Pokemon in the game. No? You saw the trailer? Okay, what do you know about this game before I continue?
I was going to say, I do remember seeing that you're able to like crawl around and then just launch Pokeballs here, there, and everywhere. That's about as much as I gleaned from Legends Arceus.
Okay, that's fair. And that's a true fact. You can crawl around and throw Pokeballs at everything in sight. There are Pokemon called Alpha Pokemon, which are bigger and tougher than ordinary Pokemon, and they're just in the wild too. But you can essentially go up and just capture them by yourself. You don't have to battle them. And I know what you're thinking. You said for Pokemon Let's Go, sort of lame that you just can capture them without battling them. However, in this game, you have HP and you have a life. This is not ordinary Pokemon. In this game...
Can you stab them?
Not quite, but close. In this game, you're part of the battling. So, for example, right away, one of the giant alpha Pokemon is a Rapidash in the first area, and I tried battling it, and it killed all of my Pokemon. because it's like level 40 and you're like just starting the game. And I was like, oh, I wonder how strong it is. As soon as your Pokemon faint, if you have all your Pokemon faint, you don't get rushed back to a Pokemon Center. You're still right in front of the Alpha Pokemon, and it can kill you.
Dang. So what happens if they kill you? Do you end up at a Pokemon Center?
So if they do kill you, you do go back to base camp, and it's actually important if you die, because you lose half of the items that you collected while you were out and about, which is sort of a lot. That. Yeah.
Is it actually death though? Because you know what Pokemon are like that. Oh, they fainted or they blacked out. What does it actually say that they killed you?
No. I'm saying killed, but no. There's still a fainting mechanic. No, there's no Pokemon death
That's
in this
a shame.
game.
So
you want dark Pokemon.
I mean, why do they have Pokemon graveyards, man? They do die.
That's a fair, and there is some dark Pokemon lore. That's a fair assessment. But yeah, the game itself, there's a lot of features that I think are amazing compared to a Pokemon game. It's something different that they had never tried before, and I think they succeeded. There's a lot of more different stuff I can talk about, like how they're in combat. There's a strong and agile style where moves can do different things. You can do more power behind it or more agility behind it, and there's actually an RPG turn bracket on the right side. And so if you use like an agility move, you can move up in the bracket, so it's possible for you to get 2 turns in a row over like a slower Pokemon.
It definitely cool. Mixes the formula up.
Yeah.
Which is, for Pokemon, is desperately needed. I'm coming at it as someone who hadn't played a Pokemon game until Sword and Shield, so I didn't really have that
mindset of how much it's changed. Yeah.
But I when I did see it, it did make me want to play it. I do have one question though. You said that they have Alpha Pokemon.
Yes.
But do they have Sigma Pokemon?
They don't have Sigma. Do they have multiple size Pokemon? I thought maybe they did. I can't confirm in Legends. I forget. However, in Scarlet and Violet, they do. In Scarlet and Violet, they don't have Pokemon as big as Alpha Pokemon because in Legends they were like huge, like really big. But in Scarlet and Violet, there's, I think, extra large, medium, small, and extra small Pokemon. So you can go around and find Pokemon of varying sizes. It's actually pretty
good. Sigma.
I just want to catch a Sigma team so bad. Yeah, so I think the game was very good, and I think it basically used some mechanics and some things in order to push itself to Scarlet and Violet. It did not keep everything, which I think is good too, because I think later on, hopefully they can reflect back and maybe make a side game series on just the mechanics found in Legends Arceus in regards to like olden day Johto or olden day Hoenn or something like that. Would be cool to see. So I thought it was good, and it was, I don't know, a marker for Pokemon in general. So that's my game of the year, and I'm sticking to it. And for anyone that was wondering what Pokemon I had used during the game, just FYI, I have my Switch in front of me. I know someone was going to ask. I have a Alpha Glalie. Look how big that boy is. So huge.
Bro.
An Alpha Rhyperior.
No wonder they're afraid of these Pokemon.
I know. Typhlosion, Umbreon, and Torterra. So there we go. Yeah. Just any Pokemon
have an
fans.
evolution.
Yeah, the Glalie so big, man. His head was so huge. It was wild. Anyway, that's my game of the year, Jax. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yours?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that is I've wanted to play that for a while, and I think I will once I get round to buying another Pokemon game, which I don't know when I'm gonna freaking do. There's just too many games.
There's too many games, man.
That's the thing now. I don't hate it, but I feel like I miss out on so much because you only have so much time.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
to be
awful.
a child again.
To be a child again.
To have a whole summer where you don't do anything, but you can just play every new game that comes out. It's just...
Can you imagine?
Oh, that'd be nice. Anyway, yes, my game. So I'm going to split this last bit into sort of two things. So I'm going to firstly talk about... This isn't a game that came out this year, but for me is kind of like my game of the year, because it's the game that I most certainly put the most hours into.
Okay.
I would also say because of this podcast, if it was not for this podcast, I would not have ever played the game.
It's me? Did I help?
You recommended that we do an episode on this particular game, and I'm so glad you did, because I would never have chosen to play that game. I'd never thought it'd be that enjoyable. Even the story, which I didn't think would be all that. Like it just, in every aspect, the game kind of blew me away, and I still play it every now and again. At the minute, got over 100 hours in it. Can you guess what it is?
Hades.
Yeah, it's Hades, which came out I think in 2019 or 2020.
Yeah. Funny, before you continue, this was going to be my pick for non-2022. This is now my comfort game. Like, my comfort games are Hollow Knight and Hades. And that's it. So
it's just,
so
yeah,
good.
especially on the Switch, where I can just pick it up. I can spend about 40-45 minutes just doing a run, just to see what combinations I can get. You know, try and get my specific build with the different. I've forgotten what they're called now.
Boons?
Abilities. What are they called?
Boons.
Runes? Boons, yes. Thank you. See, it has been a little while since I played it.
100 hours.
But I love Greek mythology anyway, so that was already a win. But the story was even like, I just thought the story was so clever. Like, we've talked about Hades, we've done a whole podcast on it. Go and check it out if you haven't listened to it. But I just thought it was so clever how dying was like a purpose in the game. Like, you had to die to keep progressing. And so many times in games, you kind of take for granted the fact that you die and your character just goes back to a previous bit. Like, even in Legends Arceus, you get killed by a freaking Pokemon, but no, you just wake up around there or whatever, and you just go about your business again. I love the aspect of dying in Hades, and then you come back, everyone knows that you've died, and you carry on and you go again. Like, I don't know why I appreciate that aspect of it so much. I think it's because logically it's very difficult in games to make death, like, to justify the fact that someone dies and make it part of the story. Like, make it believable. I know that Death Stranding had a system.
Stranding? Really?
Death Stranding had a system for, like, almost like a justification as to, if you die, this is what sort of will happen. Like, and it's part of the story. It's not like an end, if you like.
And I think we also need to just say that this is a roguelike game, so I completely agree with what you're saying in regards to, like, this is the best adaptation in regards to a narrative for a roguelite, a game for dying and coming back and getting stronger, that I have ever seen. Like, in other roguelike games, like Rogue Legacy, Dead Cells, like, yeah, you respawn, and like Rogue Legacy, it's like, oh, that's my descendant. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Dead Cells, you respawn for, I don't remember why, but like, point being, it's like, in this game, everyone remembers you, and because there's so much dialogue, it feels like one continual game, not, oh god, I have to restart again.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, mentioning it as a roguelike is really important because of that type of game where you're just doing run after run after run. But yeah, like you say, because there's so much dialogue, and we've talked about that before, so I won't get too into it. It's just a game with love and dedication. The art style is great. As I say, Greek mythology is so much fun anyway, and the combat is just so much fun. And you never get bored with it. Surprisingly, that I keep expecting that I would get bored of it, and I haven't.
I haven't either.
I'm not playing it in a minute, don't get me wrong, but again, we like to play other games. We like to play some games. You can't play all the games, you got to play some, which means you got to stop playing some others. But yeah, Hades, I think if we can allow non-2022 games to be a game of the year, Hades is 100% the game for me. 100%.
I'm very happy you picked that. Yeah, I'm so glad you liked it.
Oh yeah. Now on the flip side, and this game I haven't finished it, but it is my game of the year.
Okay.
And it's my game of the year because of purely for its importance to the franchise itself.
Ooh, I have no idea what it could be. This is what we've been building up to, is constant little tidbits of Sonic Frontiers. This is the part of the podcast, Jax, where you go off on Sonic Frontiers for the next 10 minutes. I'm here to listen, ask questions. I'm excited of why you think this is a right step for the Sonic. I was going to say company, but that's not right. The Sonic brand, right?
Like that. Right. So just for some context about me, like Sonic fandom and stuff. Right. I grew up with the old Sonic games. I loved all the old Sonic games. Nothing is ever going to beat Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like, I'd be amazed if it does. It won't. However, once I got to Sonic Adventure 2, which we've talked about, one of my favourite games. That was for me my favourite 3D Sonic game, because I tried a few of the Sonic games that came after it, but it got to a stage where I was so disappointed with every new Sonic game that came out. Like, I didn't play them all, don't get me wrong, like, there are probably some that I should go back and play, because you don't really do it justice unless you try the game out. But like, when I think of stuff like Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06, like, there are Sonic Forces, and I'm just like, there's none of them have ever made me want to play them, or even enough to just purchase them.
Yeah, I agree.
And it just feels like Sega have always tried one different thing every single time with 3D Sonic games. Sometimes they did okay with Generations, was very good, and then they did Sonic Mania, which was great, and it wasn't a 3D game, but just that, and Origins, which I haven't got, which I've been meaning to get, is really good from what I have seen, because it's got Sonic 3 and Knuckles, so it's going to be halfway decent. But Sonic Frontiers, now, when everyone hyped this up, or rather when we first heard about it, initially everyone was a bit concerned because it didn't really look great. It looked empty.
So empty.
It didn't look like it would work that well at all. The idea of Sonic Breath of the Wild was great, but I was very nervous. But I was like, I have to buy this Sonic game. Like, the last few trailers, seeing Super Sonic, seeing him go up against these giant, what they call titans, the bosses, like, I was like, okay, right, this is worth my time to determine, like, if this is gonna be good or not. Like, I'm prepared to take the plunge and spend my money, my hard-earned money, on a Sonic game. And it's been so long since I've done that, and I'm so glad I did, because this game is legitimately so much fun to play. Bearing in mind, I play it on the Switch, which, as most people say, when
are you playing handheld?
Yeah. When you're playing multiple consoles, everyone craps on the Switch. They always compare the Switch version to the PS5 or the PC, and it's like, yes, I'm aware that the Switch has the worst graphics. I don't care. I can pick up my handheld Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
I can sit on the toilet and do a poo, and I can play Sonic Frontiers.
I have to agree with you. Yeah, because, like, sometimes when I'm not feeling it at work, I work from home, I just grab my Switch for a little bit, and I do in between stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'll play Pokemon for 15 minutes and then go back to work. While moving my mouse, of course. But yeah, it's something you can just.
I hope they don't watch the pod.
Nah.
Sonic Frontiers has kind of become like a very relaxing downtime game, because I'm at the second, I forget what they're called, area, Knuckles' location in the desert, and yeah, so I'm not super far into the game, but I can easily say it's my game of the year, because all I've done a lot of the time when I've picked it up and played it is just gone round on grind rails and just tried to do loads of just running around. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but I spend like 15-20 minutes, half an hour, just going around trying to pull off really cool looking tricks and stuff like it's weird how it works, because it in reality it's kind of stupid. Like, why is there a bunch of rails and springs and stuff just randomly? Like, if you want to think about it in that context, you could be like, why is there random springs and that sort of stuff, like just around this desert area? It doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah,
but obviously in the context of Sonic, when you do it, it always looks so good. Like, it looks so much fun. It's so satisfying to hit a grind rail, boost, jump off a few springs, and then just do some, like, freaking... I forget what that move's called, where you go in the air and it's like you do Sonic Dash. You do, like, those flicks in the air and stuff. Like, it's really cool, and it's... I could talk about that sort of side of stuff, but I want to talk about the mini bosses, not even the Titans. I want to talk about the mini bosses, because if you'd have seen from some of my TikToks that I've been posting, a lot of Sonic Frontier TikToks, just random gameplay. I can't get over how cinematic each of these, like, random mini bosses are. Like, I just discovered the shark. I don't know if
I have not seen the shorts yet. No.
Watch. There's one that I just posted that's with the mini boss, the shark. So you're in the desert and the giant guy just pops up out of the ground, and you're holding on to, like, his fin essentially at the back, and you're holding on to the back of it, and you're doing all that. And then there's quick time events. A great addition, by the way. That might be in a previous Sonic game anyway, but I think quick time events for Sonic games are just, in 3D Sonic games, it's a must. I think that's a great addition. But you're just hanging on to this shark, and then he's, like, flying around, and you're hanging... Like, it's a spectacle. Like, every time I run around, I encounter a mini boss, and every time it's like a spectacle. It's like an epic cinematic on... Well, I'm looking forward to this Sonic Prime show. Like, it could just be like a cinematic. Like, I'm sort of, like, drooling over, like, fighting these same mini bosses every time. Like, I talked about it before. There's one that's flying around that leaves, like, a trail, and you have to run up the trail.
Oh, like it leaves clouds behind or something, or
it leaves like a digital path.
Oh, cool.
If you like, it's called the squid. Yeah, and you have to jump onto that and then run all the way up to the top of, like, his head and then attack him. It's just really well done. Like, don't get me wrong, the actual combat, it's quite straightforward. It's like you're mashing one button, but there's enough different elements. You know, you've got the skill tree and stuff, and you learn the new moves to make it, like, interesting. And again, there's some really cool cinematic, like, jump kicks and high kicks, and I'm just super impressed that they've managed to create something that I think the majority of the Sonic fans have enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I'm talking classic Sonic fans and the newer Sonic fans, because there's a number of generations that have grown up with different Sonic games. And the latter generations probably didn't seem to care that much about Sonic because they had games like Sonic 06. But we've had the films that have been such a success that's made me so happy. It's warmed my heart that those films were so good.
I still haven't seen the second one.
Oh no!
I can't watch it. Don't talk about the second one. No spoilers. I know Shadow comes at the end. I know that. Okay. I already know that. I don't know anything. So I don't know what he says, but I know he's there.
Sonic 3 could basically be like Sonic Adventure 2, dude. You have to go and see Sonic. You have to watch Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Sonic, dude.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, I'm just like, I'm just blown away. Like, it's just so much fun. Don't get me wrong, there are much better games out there, but for me, it's how important potentially this game is to where the Sonic franchise can now go. They have said that they're going to base future games off of Frontiers because of how well it was received by the fandom. I'm not sure what that means exactly, whether they're going open world for the rest of them, but
I don't know what else they could mean, right? At least to an extent where... So, like, question. It's like different loading zones that are open world, right? It's not like completely open world. Like when you went to the desert, you had to load, right? It wasn't like you just walked in there.
I think it was after you beat the final boss and then you moved to that next location. But you have those cyberspace areas, which are essentially sort of like they're actually remade versions of older Sonic levels. Like, I didn't even realize.
I didn't know they were remade.
I didn't realize it. I've played Metal Harbor from Sonic Adventure 2, but I didn't even realize that's what it was, because like it didn't look like it. But like I've seen a TikTok where it's like side by side, and I'm like, oh crap! So like the like all the springs and all of the movements and stuff are in the same place. So it's a reimagining of some of the older levels.
Oh, that's super cool.
That's a good way of breaking up the open world gameplay into doing other things, and sometimes you get some side-scrolling Sonic, and sometimes you get maybe some more Sonic Colors type of gameplay and stuff like that. I won't get into that because not the biggest fan of Sonic Colors. Sonic Colors Ultimate, right? I've never played the original Sonic Colors that everyone talks about. That's meant to be really good. Sonic Colors Ultimate, bad. The bosses, dude. The Titans. Like I don't feel like these things kind of make sense in a Sonic world. I always feel like it's Sonic versus Robotnik, and he's got his machine, if you like,
right.
His giant robot that he sits in. These Titans are so cool. Like they're quite generic, like giant enemy and stuff, but to see Sonic go into Super Sonic quite early on in the game, I think was a really smart move.
Oh, he does.
Spoilers. You see it? There's a literal trailer, dude.
Come on. So, like, can you use that ability all the time, though?
No. See, what they do is you only get it for the final boss, and then when you move to the next area, they split off again.
Oh, and that's how you proceed through each area. You got to find each Chaos Emerald again.
You got to find them, and you got to help free the relevant person. First, it was Amy, then Knuckles, and so on.
The formulas. Okay, yeah, I guess Sonic's used to doing that. Lots of formulas. But I can see how it's different, and it's not necessarily the same thing.
And obviously what goes with that is and it's like this for almost every Sonic game, the amazing soundtrack. The score, like that Undefeatable song is just... Whew, that's tasty, man. That's like some Crush 40 stuff right there. Frontiers is... It's a very good game. Like, it's funny enough, I was about to say it's amazing. It's actually not. It's actually just a very good game. But it's more about what it represents for the Sonic franchise going forward. Like, if they can keep going with Sonic games, not necessarily just like this, but having that same level of fun, they could actually get somewhere. I will note that the voice acting... or like the voice for Sonic is he just sounds like a middle-aged man, and I won't ever get over it.
He's old now, man.
All like even Knuckles sounded a bit weird. Like maybe I'm just stuck in Sonic Adventure 2 when they all sounded young. I don't know, but like they all sound old. They've gotten old like I've got old, you know.
We've all gotten old together, and you're just gonna have to accept it.
But yeah, Sonic Frontiers. My game of 2022.
Well, I look forward to you talking more about it on the podcast when you finally beat the game, and give us a few minutes in regards to your final thoughts on it. I'm looking forward to it. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the pod, those were our top games of 2022. We would very much like to hear yours, so if you're on YouTube or can write a review on any platform, feel free to be like, hey, love the pod, this was my favorite game. Yeah, maybe we'll read some if we can find any, if anyone comments it.
I will check the comments, I'm the guy who checks the comments.
I check them sometimes.
Just before rounding off, we should do our final vibe verses of 2022.
That's right. And that's right. Guess what happened, ladies and gentlemen? Your boy challenged Jax to a game of Rocket League. And
I was so excited as well.
He forgot that I have played years of soccer, so I, of course, was at a slight advantage. And I would like to take it up a notch to the next level, where I'm still losing, but I think I'm one behind now at 6-5. Right, Jax?
It is 6-5. Like, fair play. You've come back from... You were... Was it 5-2 or 6-2 down?
It was 6-2.
It was 6-2, and you've won like 3 on the bounce. So fair play.
Yeah.
I will say, I was 2-0 up. I was cruising, and we took it to overtime, like 4-4, 5-5, and then I think I missed the ball like 3 times. Maybe it was my ping that was so bad.
Hey, my ping was a little bad too. Come on now.
Yeah.
But if you don't normally watch the Vibe Versus on our YouTube channel, I would recommend this one because it was a little more intense than normal. So
they're a bit of fun. It's something else that you can engage with, and you can be Team Grog or you can be Team Jax, the winners. So
one of those is the correct answer.
End of year, I'm still on top. So that's kind of something. So I'm like 2022 king. Vibe Versus king.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh, did we ever say how many we're doing before the next season of Vibe Versus?
It will be however many it is.
First one to 20.
So we will get to our 1 year anniversary of doing our pod.
Oh. And
that will be the final Vibe Versus, and hopefully it'll be very, very close, or I've run away with it by then. I guess we'll see.
Nah. I still got Hollow Knight, and I will bring that up for all eternity.
Oh, he's going to save it for the end.
I am going to save it for the finale. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to our podcast. This has been Video Game Vibes.
Very quickly,
yes,
if I may interject,
please.
I just because this is the last episode of 2022,
oh, yeah.
And
good point.
I thought it'd just be nice to quickly reflect on the fact that we started the podcast in June, July.
Yeah.
So we've sort of been doing
6
it for
months already.
Yeah, like almost
half a year, baby.
We've sort of been planning and doing this, and I just got to say I really enjoy doing it. I've wanted, and I'd say IRL friends will know, I've wanted to do a podcast for so long. So I'm really glad that we got together and we're able to do this on a regular basis, and it's been fun. So I just want to say thank you, Grog, for doing this with me.
I'm thankful to you as well. I've also wanted to do a podcast for a while, and I've been having fun with it. So I think our goal just going into the new year, if anyone was wondering, just keep vibing. That's what we're gonna do. Talking about video games.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends. Share it. Review it. We want more people listening.
Yes, please.
Getting involved and sending us emails. And if you do a podcast yourself, hit us up. We want to collab with other creators as well and get involved in that. Long term we want to do interviews and stuff like that. But for now, we are just vibing out.
Yeah. I forgot we didn't have. We have an outro. It's playing. The music. Oh my god, the outro music's playing. Jax. It's Jax. I'm fading away. Like Thanos snapped.
Grog is not very good at doing outros, guys. I don't know if you've caught on to it. I've now made a little outro for the pod.
I think they look forward to the outros.
Even this is quite difficult for him. So I will just finish and say thank you to everyone that's listened to at least just one podcast or watched the Vibe Versus, who's enjoying just engaging in the podcast and just having a listen. We hope it takes you away from whatever you're doing, or if you're listening to it on your drive to work or
at work
whilst you're playing games or whatever. Just we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And always do feedback stuff to us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And also, Merry Christmas if you celebrate that, or Merry other holiday. Other holiday.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
2023, guys. It's going to be even better.
Oh my god.
It's going to be much better than 2022.
I'm going to mess this year up, baby. Bye.
Get your New Year's resolutions in. See you next year, guys.